There's a story that actually Wangari Maathai, she's a Kenyan scholar that won the Nobel for planting a million trees. And she tells this little hummingbird was in the forest watching the forest fire, and he could not really believe that nobody was doing nothing. The other animals were just watching, and he started getting drop by drop in his beak and throwing the water on the fire. And all the other animals were saying, "Oh, you're crazy, you are not contributing for anything." But he looked at the animals and said, "I'm doing my best." So I think it's never, you are never too small to make a difference. And that's why I thought of this name. 2 weeks ago, the UN proposed and approved the UN Decade of Ecosystem Restoration. And this is very, very exciting, because right now, when we talk about climate change, we think so much in carbon emissions, but there's a whole lot of other things happening that are not focused on carbon. And the ecosystem restoration is a holistic action that we are starting to think about, and to really think better ways of restoring in response to climate change. And it's not a short-term work, it's not something you can do overnight, but it's something we need to start right now. Last year, I was working in rural England, in the southwest, with a small water charity, and I was privileged enough to meet two men who have a very, very interesting and incredible work on water. They do community-driven water management. And this first man, Miguel, he is Slovak, and he has this organization, Rain for Climate. And what he did, I think 30 years ago, was to start working with a very big river in Slovakia that floods, and many, many villages are affected by this flood. Every year was the same thing. So he went upstream this river, and he started engaging local communities. He was able to ask the government for grants and create local jobs, seasonal jobs, and he started designing some solutions for the flood. So basically, interventions in the landscape where the water could be trapped, the water from the river, the water from rain. And these interventions had many functions. They were part of the bigger ecosystem. And they were there to store water, to be a wildlife habitat, and for many other things, like they were also using as fish ponds. So he became very famous in Slovakia, and he's still carrying out many projects in this sense all over the world now. And the second man is Rajendra Singh. He's an Indian from Rajasthan, and over 30 years he decided to also work with communities. In Rajasthan is a very semi-arid state of India. They have many problems with water there, and people were really desperate in the places he was going. He was a doctor. He was asking people, "What do you need here?" And I brought many medicine, and I'm here to treat you, but people were asking for water. So he started to learn from the elders in the villages, And they knew how to create also interventions in the landscape so that when the rain in the monsoons were falling, they could trap all that water, slowing the water so the water would not meet a river and then be sluiced down the river and then go to the sea, but it would stay there. It would very slowly penetrate the soil and give life to the soil, sink and soak, and also give life to the aquifers locally. And over 30 years, he was able to regenerate around 12,000 small rivers, which is 7 entire river ecosystems, which is really, really incredible. And also he started with local communities, river parliaments, and people got empowered to even ask the government for money when the government was doing some use in the river that were not going to benefit the local communities. Well, I started to research a little bit deeper, and I saw that the water, which we all know that is fundamental for life, is also responsible for 80%, actually it is 80% of all greenhouse gases. We just talk about carbon emissions when we talk about climate change, but as I said, it goes much beyond. And what can we do about it? We have to understand that the water cycle and the carbon cycles, they are very closely interconnected. We cannot actually talk about one without talking about the other. So I'm not advocating for, let's stop looking at carbon and look at water. No, it's actually, let's integrate the other sides of it and then have a wider perspective. So I was looking into extreme weather, which is actually a manifestation of climate change, is one of its faces. We're seeing all over the world typhoons, floods and droughts at the same places, and this is a very strong sign of degradation, environmental degradation. And in many of those places, humans have been working the land for 6,000 years or more. Many of our deserts that we take for granted, they always have been deserts. As the Mongolia Desert, the Sahara itself, they actually have been forests very, very recently in the past. So I saw that, I learned that the biodiversity loss when you degrade a forest, it is connected to many other elements, and all of them have actually the same importance. The temperature, the warming that we are so focused on when we talk about climate change, it is a result of the absence of plants that someone else in another panel actually said. The most advanced technology we have nowadays is trees. What they do is incredible. It's a miracle what they do. And if we don't have them in our cities, we actually end up having to do their work, that is to try to convert the heat into and actually not slow down and create a microclimate, but we don't have the skills to do that. So the damaged soil, also dysfunctional water cycles, I think all of them are interconnected when we look at climate change. And something that fascinated me is the dysfunctional local water cycles. Because if we look at the health of water cycles, we can understand that if we regenerate ecosystems, we at the same time will be not changing the temperature, we will increase biodiversity, we will increase the health of the soil. So it's a holistic action, it's a tipping point in the system, the water cycle. And some years ago I came to Portugal, I have family here, and I was drawn to the question of the forest fires. Every year in the summer is the same thing, the forests start to burn, and lots of people lose properties, lose their lives, so it's a huge issue. And also the hydric crisis is big. So after I finished my master's in holistic science, which is a way of science that connects quantities with qualities and brings up science from the edges, like complexity and chaos theory and many other things, I said I want to do something about it. So what I want to do, and I ask the help of all of you if you are interested, is to build together with young people water retention measures in the places that have been burning, and take care of the health of the local water cycles. Doing this, but in a way that you generate strength in the relations of the local communities, that you engage people, you provide a educational and experiential education actually, because we are still so theoretical in schools, and we need to do more hands-on. So I would like to do that by using the Oasis game methodology, which was created by an institute in Brazil and has a very big potential, is being used all over the world, and integrates citizen science, complexity thinking, citizen engagement, permaculture, into very concrete changes in the landscape, and run a prototype in Montchique very soon. I'm submitting this project to the UN. They have a small grant prize every year called the Young Champions of the Earth. And I believe in the power of games to unite people, to engage, to help young people to really be the leaders, and do this in a way that the whole community ends up learning in a likeness way. You know, climate change, I think, is something that we can solve. We have to act right now, and we can do this in a very fun and light way, and becoming better people, which I think all of us are trying to do. So thank you very, very much.